Hey everybody, this is Braden Smith, and I chose to do my presentation on the United States and Colombian relations. So, in my studies I found that there were three main topics that needed to be studied and addressed in order to fully understand this. And those are, first of all, modern day relations, second, our free trade agreement between our countries, and last of all, the terrorism and the drug war that is occurring in Colombia as we speak. So I'm going to begin by talking a little bit about the mutual agreements of our country. So we've become pretty close countries together, and some of the agreements that we've had are a free trade agreement, environmental protection, asset sharing, chemical control, shipboarding, renewable and clean energy, science and technology, and civil aviation agreements. So the free trade agreement that we have has been very effective in fueling both the economies of the United States and Colombia. And as the United States is Colombia's primary trade partner, it was especially effective for their economy in boosting it. So that occurred in May of 2012 when both countries signed the FTA. And the goal of this FTA was to improve investment environment between the two countries, eliminate tariffs and other export barriers, expand trade, and promote economic growth, which is pretty much just the standard goals of any free trade agreement. So some of the major resources that Colombia provides the U.S. are crude oil, coffee, cut flowers, textiles, and bananas. And then vice versa, some of the major resources that the United States provides Colombia are machinery, oil, agricultural products, organic chemicals, and plastic. So now let's go a little bit into the drug war. So Colombia is a major production central for drugs, illegal drugs. And during the 1980s, the United States and Colombia united to fight against the illegal drugs that were being imported from the U.S., to the U.S. from Colombia. And then by the 1990s, the counter-narcotics plans that they had set up and carried out proved successful in crashing most of the major drug cartels in Colombia. Yet, for some reason, drug trade in Colombia still flourished. It was after that the Colombian government realized that small cartels had quietly emerged around the country, and the collective amount of drugs that those small cartels provided effectively fueled the drug market in both Colombia and the drug market in the United States. And so even today, 25 years later, the United States and Colombia continue to fight against those estimated 100 small cartels. So the United States intervention plan, when they went in to help eradicate the cartels, was called Plan Colombia. And although the Colombian government really strived to eradicate the drug cartels, they lacked the necessary resources and firepower that was necessary to defeat them. So that's where the United States came in. They provided that extra military strength. One website I found said, "The main goal of Plan Colombia, as the latest initiative is known, is to slash the current 300,000 acres of coca fields in half in 5 years by using both forceful eradication and alternative development programs for farmers who harvest the illegal crop." So I'm going to go ahead and take us to a video here. It's going to further explain that. Okay, here we go.
To cocaine.
Basically, here about 30 miles away from the target area. We're going to be going to the east today, just to the south of this national forest here.
We are actually on the front lines of the war on drugs. Part of the U.S. budget for Colombia goes to eradication efforts in the form of spraying. Many pilots here are ex-military from all over the Americas, including the U.S. For safety's sake, some ask that we not show their faces.
The red dots that you see are coca fields that have been plotted by satellite imagery. And the
Seems
area
like a lot of coca.
Well, it is.
How dangerous a mission is this?
Every mission that we go on is dangerous because we're spraying a very lucrative crop, and they really don't appreciate us being there.
A big part of the spraying cost is self-defense. Each mission includes helicopter gunships for fire support. 90% of the illegal cocaine consumed in the U.S. comes from or through Colombia. And looking over these jungles, it's easy to see why. Policing them is extraordinarily difficult. Coca farming threatens the environment. It's a slash-and-burn crop. Each year, growers clear-cut thousands of acres of forest so they can plant coca. The spray, which kills any plant it touches, is controversial. To minimize damage to forests and legitimate crops, satellites guide the spraying. We drew no fire that day, but soon after, guerrillas shot down one of these planes, killing the Costa Rican pilot. How did...
Okay. With the excessive land masses there that they have available to grow that coca on, it can be extremely hard for the United States, even with all of their military strength, to locate and destroy those plants. I've got another quote here that says, "Diplomatically, the United States began to pressure Colombia to clean up the corruption that drug money was causing within the ranks of the national police and the government bureaucracy. As the cocaine industry exploded in the late 1970s and early 1980s, the money flowed to loosely organized cartels that used the cash to buy off or threaten officials who stood in their way. So now the Colombian government is not only fighting against cartels, but also against those in their own government, in their own law enforcement, who are being bought off and bribed by the cartels. So, to eradicate this problem, to look at it and fight it, the Colombian government established something called the National Consolidation Plan. So, basically, it's designed to reestablish legitimacy and regain control of Colombia. And it involves more powerful and centralized security, counter-narcotics, and social and economic development. So to support Colombia in that plan, the United States has established policy that strengthens democratic institutions in Colombia, promotes respect for unalienable rights and human law, fosters socio-economic development, provides humanitarian aid, and stops cartels towards democracy. And this is what the United States is pursuing as we speak. And this is how they're going about trying to eradicate the drug lords in that area and the corruption within that government. So we've talked a little bit about the history of the relations between these two countries, we talked a little bit about the modern relations and the free trade agreements, and also quite a bit about the terrorism and drug war. So thank you guys for watching, and here are my sources.